But truth is, I cannot accept love because I am a broken man. I'm more broken than a total car without the help of a tow truck.
Walked into that hotel room, looked at the mother and said, "I'm sorry." She asked, "What did you do?" And he shoots her 3 times.
Society laugh at me. Society joke about me. So when I walk this earth, I'm laughed at. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
June 23, 2024. A young woman named Sakuya Starquez Jonkila Bryce just turned 29. She smiled wide as her family and friends gathered to celebrate her birthday. No one knew it would be the last time they'd see her alive. Just hours later, her own cousin would become her killer. But what made him snap? Why target his own blood, his mother, cousin, and even his ex's new girlfriend, all in the span of one horrifying night? This isn't just a murder story. This is a story of ignored red flags, mental breakdowns, social media cries for help, and a system that didn't listen. There's more to this than just 3 bodies and 1 shooter, so don't blink, because every minute of this story will leave you wondering, could this have been stopped? If you believe stories like this should never repeat, hit the subscribe button now. Don't even think twice. Your click could help someone else recognize a red flag before it's too late. Let's take it back to the beginning, way before everything went sideways, before cops were chasing him down the streets, before his name became tied to bloodshed. Javonte Bryce, 28 years old, lived in Manatee County, Florida, a place known for its sunny beaches, cozy neighborhoods, and laid-back life just south of Tampa. But behind the palm trees and peaceful streets lies a community where violence simmers quietly beneath the surface. And Bryce? He blended right in, until he didn't. Neighbors described him as quiet, kept to himself, the kind of guy you'd nod to in passing but never think twice about. But those who really knew him? They saw the red flags long before the sirens. Bryce wasn't just a troubled man, he was a father of 12 children. 12. That's 12 little ones left behind to grow up without him. Some barely old enough to understand what happened, some old enough to ask, why? He posted cryptic things online, dark things, messages hinting at death, depression, rage, things like, "Look after my kids if anything happens to me," as if he saw his end coming. Was it a cry for help or a final warning? Back in 2021, Bryce was hit with a risk protection order, Florida's version of a red flag law. Why? Because of those posts. They were disturbing, dangerous. Under that order, he couldn't legally own or buy guns. But the catch? It only lasted a year. By 2023, it expired. No follow-up, no check-in, no one watching. And then came 2024. By then, Bryce had already been arrested for battery by strangulation, choking someone during a violent attack. He'd resisted officers, violated court orders. He wasn't a stranger to police, he wasn't invisible. His name was on record. His rage was documented. Still, he was walking free and armed. One of the women he later threatened was reportedly the mother of one of his children. He wasn't just targeting random people, these were women tied to his real-life legacy, his kids. So here's the haunting question. If the warning signs were there, why was he still armed? And deeper still, if you knew someone like Bryce, your brother, your friend, your neighbor, and you saw those chilling posts, would you speak up? Would you reach out? Would you report it? Don't wait until tragedy strikes close to home. Subscribe now if you think more people need to hear this. And if you don't feel like subscribing, hit the comments and explain why. No shame, just be real. Because silence won't save the next victim. This isn't just a crime story. These were real people. Women with full lives, families, birthdays, laughter, dreams. So before we dive deeper into the madness, let's slow down and talk about the people we lost, who they were, how they lived, and how they knew Javonte Bryce. 1. Titimisha Scott, 48. His mother. Yes, his own mother. Had one of the most thankless roles in this story. Being the mother of a troubled son she refused to give up on. Friends and neighbors described her as warm, deeply forgiving, the kind of mom who loved past the pain. She knew her son had issues. She wasn't naive. But she still opened her home, trying to give him a second chance. She believed he could turn around. She hoped he'd get better. She paid for that hope with her life. 2. Ssacre Starquez, Jonkila Bryce, 29, his cousin. Her name might not be easy to pronounce, but her spirit lit up every room. Ssacre Bryce, 29, was his cousin. She wasn't just family, she was like a sister, someone who stood by him even when others walked away. She had just celebrated her birthday on June 23, 2024, days before she was murdered. She posted, she smiled, she had plans for her next chapter. And then, gone. She tried to be there for him, tried to help. But being close to Javonte Bryce came at a fatal price. What do you do when love and loyalty put you in the line of fire? 3. Cheryl Carter, 31, innocent by association. Cheryl Carter, 31, wasn't family. She had no long history with Bryce, but she was involved with someone who did, one of his ex-girlfriends. In his twisted view, that was enough. Cheryl was reportedly dating a woman Bryce had once loved, or at least once possessed. Because what this case makes clear is that he didn't love women. He controlled them. And when he couldn't anymore, he snapped. Cheryl Carter was targeted simply because she was close to someone from his past. She had nothing to do with Bryce, nothing to do with his trauma, nothing to do with his rage, and yet she became one of its final victims. Why target women he once loved? And the women around them. June 24, 2024. It started like any other Florida summer night, humid, quiet, almost deceptively calm. But what unfolded within just 2 hours would shake the entire Manatee County to its core. 9:10 p.m., Palmetto Trace Apartments. Bryce shows up unannounced at his ex-girlfriend's apartment. He didn't come to talk. He looked her straight in the eyes and reportedly said, "I have to kill you." Let that sink in. His own sister was there, and she stepped in, risking her own life to stop him. She physically intervened, holding him back, giving his ex a moment to escape. Bryce left, but only physically. He wasn't retreating, he was recalculating. If someone you loved said that to you, would you believe them? Or would you try to protect them too? Tell us in the comments. 9:15 p.m., Motel 6, Bradenton. Just 15 minutes later, he finds his mother, 48-year-old Titimisha Scott, in her motel room. She was there with her 2 younger daughters, his sisters, and her boyfriend. He walks in and says, "I'm sorry, but I have to." Then he pulls out a gun and shoots her 3 times right in front of the kids. Let that visual sit with you. Her daughters watched everything. 1 second she's there. The next, she's bleeding out in their arms. Titimisha tried for years to help her son. She forgave him, took him back, gave him shelter. And this is how he repaid her. Sheriff Rick Wells later said, "He was acting very strange. It was almost like he had accepted that this is what he had to do." That's not rage. That's something far darker. Detachment. If this part hurt to hear, imagine living it. These young girls lost their mother, forever. Please stop scrolling and hit that subscribe button. Your engagement helps this message spread, so no child ever has to watch their parent die again. 9:40 p.m., back in Palmetto. He returns to Palmetto, like a man with a mission. This time, he's looking for his cousin, Ssacre Bryce, who just celebrated her 29th birthday a day earlier. She was outside walking to her car. Before anyone could scream, react, or run, he shot her, point blank. She was rushed to the hospital, clinging to life. But her injuries were too severe. She died later that night. Ssacre wasn't just his cousin. She was like a sister to him. They shared childhood memories, holidays, laughter. And now her life was reduced to headlines and bloodstains. Why her? Was it because she tried to protect others in the family? Or did he see her as part of the world that had turned on him? This case raises so many questions, and we'll break down the psychology next. But first, ask yourself this. If someone close to you started spiraling, would you recognize the signs? 10:02 p.m., Bradenton. Again. Final stop. Final victim. Cheryl Carter, 31. A woman dating one of Bryce's ex-girlfriends. She wasn't family. She wasn't part of his past. She just happened to be in it. And for that, Bryce hunted her down and shot her too. She died in the hospital. Another innocent life caught in a web of obsession, control, and unraveling sanity. 3 women, 3 separate locations, 1 man, all in under 2 hours. This wasn't random. This wasn't spontaneous. It was calculated, personal, cold. They weren't strangers. They were women who once loved him, supported him, or loved someone who had. Javonte Bryce wasn't always this way, or so people thought. But in the weeks leading up to June 24th, something shifted. Some family members say he started acting paranoid. He'd speak in circles, bring up old grudges, and accuse loved ones of plotting against him. He reportedly became obsessed with his ex-girlfriends, stalking their social media and questioning their new relationships. He couldn't stand the idea of anyone moving on without him. He thought everyone turned on him, a relative shared anonymously. He felt betrayed by his own blood. Psychologists call this delusional attachment, when someone can't let go and begins to spiral, blaming others for their emotional instability. Bryce's social media was a minefield of warning signs, posts tagging family members with cryptic captions, messages hinting at death, pain, and revenge, a general tone of anger masked in self-pity. Was this premeditated, or a full mental collapse? Either way, the signs were there, and no one acted fast enough. After unleashing a wave of deadly violence across Manatee County, Javonte Bryce didn't stop. With 3 women dead and others traumatized, he had one final plan in motion, and it was just as horrifying. Shortly after killing his cousin, ssacre, and the girlfriend of his ex, Bryce got back in his car and began driving north, leaving behind chaos, fear, and grieving families. His next target? Another ex-girlfriend living out of state, reportedly in Georgia. Authorities believe he was planning to kill again, and this time cross state lines to do it. That's when a multi-agency manhunt began. Deputies in Florida were racing against time. Alerts went out. Borders were watched. Roads were monitored. 1:30 a.m., June 25, 2024. Near the Florida-Georgia border. A Florida deputy spotted a vehicle matching the description of Bryce's car. Officers quickly coordinated and attempted a high-risk traffic stop, but Bryce wasn't going down without a fight. As soon as he was cornered, he jumped out and opened fire on the deputies. The dark night turned into a battleground. Shots were fired from both sides. Deputies returned fire, hitting Bryce multiple times. The firefight was over in minutes. When the dust settled, Bryce lay motionless on the ground. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The rampage was over, but the questions had just begun. Who else might he have killed if police didn't stop him that night? What pushed him to this level of calculated violence? Could this have been prevented? By the time Javonte Bryce died in a hail of bullets at the Florida-Georgia border, 3 women were dead, families shattered, and an entire community traumatized. But the question that still haunts everyone is, could this have been prevented? Let's look at the red flags, because there were many. 1. The expired Risk Protection Order. Bryce had already been deemed dangerous. A Risk Protection Order, RPO, also known as a red flag law, was placed on him due to prior threats and violent behavior. This order prohibited him from owning or accessing firearms. But then, the order expired, and no one followed up. Why wasn't it renewed? Why wasn't his behavior reassessed? Bryce slipped through the cracks, a walking time bomb ignored. 2. Disturbing social media posts. In the weeks leading up to the murders, Bryce posted cryptic, suicidal and threatening messages online. He tagged family members. He expressed hopelessness, rage, and hints of what he was about to do. These weren't random rants. They were warning shots. But no official action was taken. When the final shots were fired and the news broke across the state, it wasn't just 3 lives lost. It was generations of pain born in an instant. Families shattered, children orphaned, communities left asking how and why. Why did the system ignore a known violent offender? Could better coordination between mental health professionals, law enforcement and courts have prevented this? Are we doing enough to protect women from abusive partners, especially repeat offenders? These aren't just rhetorical questions, they're urgent. She just turned 29. Sakuya's sister, holding back tears, told reporters, "She just turned 29 the week before he murdered her. She didn't deserve this. Her babies didn't deserve to watch it." Sakuya had a life ahead of her. Dreams, goals, laughter still in her. Now, all that's left are memories, pain, and 2 young daughters left traumatized for life. Imagine being a child and watching your mother take her last breath at the hands of someone she once trusted. The psychological aftershock. Those 2 little girls will never be the same. They didn't just witness murder. They lost their mother, their sense of safety, and a piece of their childhood forever. These kids aren't just statistics, they are living victims of a system that failed. Don't just watch. Do something. Your silence won't stop the next tragedy, but your engagement might. Subscribe, not for clout, but to spread awareness, so these stories reach the people who can help prevent the next one. If you're thinking, why should I subscribe? Ask yourself, what's holding you back from helping stories like this matter? If you still won't subscribe, enter the comments and explain why. But be honest, because this isn't just about clicks, it's about change. Your engagement helps this message spread. To protect the next Sakuya, the next innocent child, the next family on the verge of devastation. This wasn't just a tragedy, it was a preventable massacre and a reflection of what happens when red flags are ignored. The warning signs were loud. Bryce had a violent past. He had a history of domestic abuse. He made online threats, and the system failed every time. So ask yourself, how many more Bryces are out there right now slipping through the cracks? When will enough be enough? We live in a world where abusers are ignored until it's too late. Women die trying to protect their kids. Kids watch their mothers get murdered and then grow up with the trauma. The lesson here isn't just about Bryce. It's about a system that waited too long, and 3 people paid the price with their lives. How many more signs does it take before action is taken? History repeats, if we stay silent. This is not just a Florida problem, not just a bad boyfriend story. This is a national emergency, an epidemic of overlooked threats, broken systems, and victims left unprotected. Ask yourself, what if someone took his post seriously? What if the risk protection order had been renewed? What if police responded faster to the family's concerns? Maybe they'd still be alive. Maybe those 2 girls would still have their mother. Maybe this video wouldn't even need to exist. But here we are. You can't change the past, but you can change what happens. Next, right now, someone you know is showing signs. Right now, another woman is begging to be taken seriously. Right now, another tragedy is waiting to happen. Will you ignore it? Will you scroll past it? Or will you be the one who says something, does something, and stands up? Every view, every comment, every share, every subscribe. They push this story into the hands of people who might recognize the signs next time and do something before it's too late. So, subscribe now, not tomorrow, not later, right now. Do it for the victims. Silence is the enemy of change. Let's break it. Together. If Bryce was your brother, and you saw all those disturbing posts, what would you have done? Would you speak up louder, report it, warn the people around him? Drop your honest answer in the comments. Someone out there might read it and learn something that could save a life. Also, let us know where you're watching from. Your voice could be the reason someone takes action next time. Your voice matters. Your click matters. Your conscience matters. See you in the next one.